So it wasn't the outcome that many had expected, Govan, was it?
No, it wasn't, Tulasizwe, and it was an assessment of the strength of each piece of evidence, it seemed, and all of the claims really pinned down by the magistrate and him deciding whether or not they're likely to be true or false, and a candid assessment on whether or not Sekwecha Matlamba had been lying to the police when he said that the shack was closed, and the magistrate even venturing a guess, saying that perhaps Matlamba was lying because he knew that the trousers were inside the chest freezer in the shack, and he also knew that the trousers had bloodstains on. Magistrate saying that Matlamba had serious questions to answer when it came to his girlfriend's testimony that he had left in the middle of the night and returned again at 4 o'clock. But with regards to Mr. Matlaletsa, it's the fact that even though people say they saw him coming from the direction of the farm in the morning, and even though people claim that he was boasting about having committed an assault on a farmer in a tavern, he, by the way, had said that he wasn't sitting with Mr. Matlamba in that tavern that night. He doesn't believe that it would be a risk for him to be released on bail, and also doesn't believe that the investigating officer's testimony that his brother-in-law had allegedly threatened a witness through a third person could be connected to him at all, because he was in custody at the time when the threat was allegedly made. So not what we expected, but certainly something to discuss, and I suppose Mr. Matlaletsa would be very happy with what happened. They've been led off back into the cells, and it's important to note that the magistrate set the bail at 5,000 rand, where Mr. Matlaletsa had said that he could only afford between 500 and 1,000 rand bail. So that's the case as it stands at the moment. We'll try to speak to some of the lawyers of Mr. Matlaletsa in a short while.
Yeah, and Govan, the magistrate there, some of his comments sort of showing that he's alert and alive to the context and the environment outside the court as well as in the community. I mean, with him talking about saying that he would be failing in his duties if he was to deny applicant number 2, Matlaletsa, bail, simply because this would cause problems in the community. But even going further than that and talking about issues of racial tension.
Indeed, and saying that he had a responsibility to dispense justice without fear, favour or prejudice, and saying the threat of the violence, particularly from the farmer's side, and the fact that they had marched to the magistrate's court previously, had knocked and shook the window of the holding cells where the accused were held and thrown in a piece of burning paper. That still doesn't mean that he should keep them in jail just because of that threat. He said if he were to do so, he would be responding to anticipated violence, and he doesn't believe that would be in the interest of justice. And he also noted the concern and expectation from the black community in Senekal and Paul Rood that he hand down justice without fear or favour. And he's given this ruling in the bail application, obviously, would be to disappointment from some of the farmers who were calling for both of them to be kept behind bars, but seeming very confident in handing down this ruling that he has done it the right way.
Lastly, Govan, it seems, as I was saying, that the approach and assessment seemed to be chalk and cheese. It would appear to me that accused number 2, applicant number 2, Matlaletsa, what really worked in his favor is perhaps the issue of no direct evidence, that has been adduced that links him to the particular crime, and by contrast, the applicant number 1, the assessment there being that actually he's got a mountain to climb in overcoming the evidence of his girlfriend.
Yeah, and also the potential risk of him trying to persuade his girlfriend to deviate from her statements that she's already given to the police is quite high, according to the magistrate. And what's interesting here, the magistrate revealing that those DNA tests that were, or DNA samples lifted from the bakkie of Brendin Horner, they exclude accused number 1, that's Mr. Matlamba, whereas Matlaletsa's DNA swab was defective and couldn't be compared to the DNA found in the bakkie. That's very interesting. interesting. So at the moment, only the witness statements implicating both of the accused, no direct evidence for Mahlamba either, but it's the testimony of Mahlamba's girlfriend and the fact that he had gone missing from the house, and of course him allegedly lying to the police and them finding the blood-stained trousers in the chest freezer that's made Magistrate van Rooyen decide not to grant him bail. So the case of the state at this point doesn't seem much stronger than when they started this bail application, but it's enough for the magistrate to look at the nuances in it and decide to grant bail to one person simply as a way of also protecting the one witness, which is Mahlamba's girlfriend, but also protecting the state's case.
All right, Govan Whittles live for us from the Senegal Magistrates Court there, where the decision on bail has just been handed down.